Hey, ladies, welcome to another episode of the Revitalized Womanhood podcast. And I am so excited for my return guest, Sara Johnson, the lovely, the beautiful Sara Johnson, my good friend. And we are just sitting here going over all the fun, chaotic, like I've got screaming husband and children in the background. And welcome to my life. It feels like that's lately just the theme of this show. Welcome to my life. The behind the scenes.
Thank you for having me. When you messaged me, I was just like, yes, like immediately, yes. I came on. How long ago was it that I even came on? Like over a year ago, at least?
I would have to look. Yeah, that feels right. Yeah, well, yeah, because then you were doing my retreat, so maybe even wouldn't have been 2 years, but a
Long
while
time.
ago. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm like, yes, I will always come back to podcasts. Absolutely. Absolutely. So
I
thanks for
love it.
having me.
Well, the reason you poor thing got roped into this last minute, and I love that I have friends that support my what did I say to you? I said, I don't know if it was the universe or just hormones, but this is happening. And we're both feeling the same way because Sarah is expecting her baby before Christmas, right? You're kind of in that window before Christmas, and mine's the 2-week window after Christmas. So we're both kind of just like, ugh. And I'm like, okay, so tomorrow we should record tomorrow.
Like, yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Because we don't know what day to day is going to be like, right?
Don't know. We don't know. And you know what? But I saw your story, and I do believe in, obviously it's because it's on my heart, it's on my mind. So the universe is the universe, is the law of magnetism, is all the things. And so it was already on my heart because I love, love, love every Thanksgiving to kick off an episode. And actually, what's funny is last year I recorded with my good friend Trina, and I was in England at the time. We celebrated Thanksgiving in England, which is hilarious because they don't celebrate that, right? I mean, and we Googled, we're like, where can we go for Thanksgiving food? And it's all, if you're reading this post, you're American.
Funny.
And anyway, but so I really love to do kind of a kickoff off episode of before the holidays, setting boundaries, creating your own kind of realistic expectations. And so here I am thinking in my head, I'm like, okay, I got to do this. I'm going to just do it with myself because it's probably too late to bother anybody to do this with me. And then your story pops up and you're doing this 5-week, it's a 5-week, is it challenge or
Yep.
course? What is it?
Nope. It's a 5-week challenge. So anybody can do it. Um, where, and I can kind of explain a little bit more in
Yes,
detail, but
into it.
uh,
Let's do it.
I, are you okay if I kind of like back up and then
Yes.
we'll explain the 5-week challenge and stuff?
Yes.
Because I want to share a little bit of why, like my why of doing this challenge. Because number one, hi, I'm having a baby, right? And I do my births unmedicated, and so been slacking on my breathing, and I've been slacking on the things that I know are actually going to help me do this birth unmedicated. Um, but more than that, I love the holidays. Like I love this time of year if I can do it stress free. Like there's so much overwhelm and criticism and frustration and people pleasing and uh I want to say comparison, like, and so much sells that I feel like a lot of people become out of tune with their true self during this time because there's so many voices, right? There's so much of buy this, do this, decorate your tree this way, blah, 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 blah. So many things. And it's just chaos. Like this holiday season can be chaos, can be something that is not magical. And I remember as a kid, like this was my favorite time of year because it was so magical, right? That it's like, this really is the magical piece of life and of beauty. And I haven't had that as an adult, let alone because of the chaos. And I don't want to disappoint my kids. And I set high expectations for myself and I have to do better than I did last year. And like so many things. And so I was like, okay, this season, I want it to be magical. I'm bringing in a new baby to this life and probably before Christmas time. And I want it to be magical. I want it to be peaceful. And that's the word that really just kept coming to my mind is like, Sarah needs peace. I need peace during my labor. I need peace every single day, even in the midst of motherhood, even in the midst of tasks. And something that I have really, I guess, separated and clarified is motherhood is a relationship. And then we get so chaotic and overwhelmed, and our nervous systems get dysregulated on the caregiving of motherhood. And I want the peace in motherhood, the peace in the relationship. And I think of like Mary and all of those, Mary and Joseph and Jesus and like the meaning of Christmas. And I'm like, I want it. I legitimately want that. And I feel like it's just so sentimental. Um, but long story short, just kidding, it's not. It really comes back to the regulation of our nervous system. And I last year I experienced over 8 close family member and friends deaths last year.
Wait,
And
what? Wait,
over
what?
yeah, yeah. So last year was like a huge grieving period for me. And so
Wow.
the holidays were really hard. Um and it like they felt so lonely, and it was just like all of this at the end of the year kind of stacking up, right? Like literally every single month, a death, a death, a death, a death. And last year I was like, I am so dysregulated. Like I can't even find joy because I'm missing and I'm grieving and I'm lonely and all of this stuff. And so I knew I needed to uh, double down on my nervous system regulation. That's something that I work with and do. And it's so simple, yet a lot of people don't make time for it. And I created a system. It's called the Nervous System Regulation Guide, or however you want to word it. It's free on my Instagram, but it's 5 simple tasks that you can do every single day. 5 simple things that you can do every single day to help down regulate, to help co-regulate, right? Your son maybe crying in the background. And it's like, okay, if Gina's nervous system is actually regulated, guess what? Her son is going to mirror that nervous system better. And co-regulation is going to take place. And that's where so much peace comes from, is within. I feel like during holiday season, we are searching for, like, I'm going to go serve and I'm going to go give a gift and I'm going to go do this and this and this for all these other people. But true inner peace starts within. And so
Mhm.
that's kind of why I was like, okay, we're going to do this challenge. This challenge incorporates my 5 simple steps in the nervous system. I'm going to be sending daily text messages of little things that you can do off of Instagram, off of any other app, because what are we doing? We're on our phones, right? We're on our phones, but I don't want it to be on Instagram. I don't want you to numb out or avoid. I want it to just be a loving reminder of, hey, you are important enough this holiday season to take time for you, to breathe, to find gratitude, stop what you're doing. And so it's going to be little self-care things every single day that we can do that incorporate this system. We'll have a master class at the very beginning of why your nervous system gets a little bit disrupted or
Wonky?
yeah, during the holiday season. And so it's just going to be a very simple thing. It's going to be more automated, so you really can join anytime. And so you guys can join, those that are listening, you can join. We're going to start officially November 24th is the masterclass. And then we'll officially start November 25th, I believe, right?
Which we talked about. So
Yeah.
this is going to air on the 20th.
Yeah.
So you guys know that you can go jump in still. And I'm going to do some teasers actually so that people actually know and can come and
Cool.
join beforehand. But the people that missed that, if you're listening right now, if you've missed everything up until this point, you can still go jump in it. You can still go get in on this. I love it. Okay, it's super, super law of magnetism, because my book of the month this month is actually The Magic Morning, and it's incredible. And so I've got all of these new members that have come in, and we're actually working on atomic habits together, because that's where it all starts, right? You've
Yeah.
got to prioritize those kinds of getting rid of bad, out with the old, in with the new kind of mentality. But for all of my members that have been here with me for however long, we're all reading The Magic Morning, and it's like, we need to I don't like fourth quarter. I do not love this concept of new year, new you. Like you're
Uh,
waiting for Monday to start your diet. You're waiting for New Year's to kick off on your goals. And I'm like, no, guess what? Fourth quarter means we're still on this trajectory and we're going to shoot through the roof. So when January comes, we're just going. We're just in this motion. So starting in November, we all started the Magic Mornings. So this is actually beautiful because in that he talks about the savers, and it is about in your magic morning, which for people like us that are not going to have magic mornings soon enough, our magic mornings are going to be at 2 a.m., 4 a.m., 6 a.m. But he talks about that and how you can incorporate it in different ways. But basically, it is like journaling, meditating, um, physical movement, moving your body, basically, but even for just 10 minutes at a time. It's
yeah.
not like you have to commit hours to each thing. It's just like regulating,
Mhm.
basically. Being mindful of it is the most important, I think, being mindful of doing something to self-regulate. So,
I Number one, I love that book because it breaks things down very simple.
mhm.
Yet, what I have found is most people still overcomplicate. They feel like they
Oh,
have to do things
journaling.
individually, right? So, part of the system, so I'll break it down. The 5 things is a little daily breathwork practice, meeting with God, yourself, your higher power, whatever that greater belief is, outside movement. And I know we are getting some areas are getting colder. My favorite thing to instill in people is that there is no such thing as bad weather, only bad preparation. No such thing as bad weather, only bad preparation. You guys, we are beings that are actually made to be outside. So much anxiety, depression, overwhelm, chronic illnesses are actually coming because we are not spending enough time in nature. I love telling people, I'm taking a little tangent, sorry, but I'm like,
That's all right.
the best way, the number one question that I get in my client load probably is like, I don't even know who I am. How do I start learning about who I am? I've lost myself in motherhood. I've lost myself in a relationship, divorce, whatever it may be. I don't know who I am. And I will tell you with so much love and with so much passion that the best way for you to get to know who you are again is by being outside in nature, touching nature, feeling nature, grounding, using your body movement with the movement of creation. And so I think that that's so powerful. And then the next best thing is to ask yourself questions. The best way to get to know yourself again is to ask yourself questions. I'm not going to walk into a room and expect people to immediately know me. They're going to have to ask me questions, right? And co- let's just like cut out the superficiality of questions of, oh, how many kids do you have? Like, let's just get deep because we are human beings who need connection with self, with others. And those questions are not actually going to bring true connection, the connection that we
Right.
actually crave. Number 4 is gratitude. Gratitude changes behavior faster than behavior changes behavior. And so, even with the miracle morning, even in when someone comes to me and be like, well, I'm doing all of these things, but my nervous system still isn't regulated, or I'm still doing this pattern. I'm still getting angry at my kids. I'm still, et cetera, et cetera. Well, I always bring in gratitude. Okay. Gratitude is going to change behavior faster than behavior will. And then meditation is that last one. And it doesn't have to be long. Kind of what I've incorporated with this is you can actually do all 5 of these at the same time. You can be outside walking, doing a walking meditation, looking at God's creation, spending time with God, utilizing your breath, using your breath, distraction free. Don't listen to anything on your headphones or listen to a meditation, something like we are overcomplicating our to-do lists and we need to really focus in and zoom in on our to-be list. And so these
Yeah.
things are things that, yeah, sure, we're doing, but more importantly, we're actually being. And it's so much easier to incorporate all of them together instead of 5 minutes meditation, 10 minutes of journaling. And then,
Right.
because by that point, it's too much for our brain. We're adding to the chaos instead of helping with the peace and the love and the connection and the contentment that we actually want to feel. So,
Absolutely. I love that. I think and it is funny because when I talk about doing so my little that you were just talking about because
yeah.
before we got on here, I'm dealing with a high emotion son that is going through the ringer here on the other side of this door and I'm like, "Okay, here we go." Anyway, he is was having something going on last week that we couldn't get him out of this cycle of just getting in trouble and and it was just like, "Buddy, come on." And so I sat him down with his journal. We have each of our kids have a notebook and I'm like, "Okay, you are in trouble." I mean, this is his punishment, but for your punishment, you will sit in your room and you need to and I wrote him some journal prompts, like
Mhm.
what I'm grateful for, the people I love, and something else. Anyway, and I'm like, "Okay, now you just go in there." And that was my instinct was just, you are not seeing the gratitude in your life. You're not feeling the gratitude in your life. You need to reconnect to what the bigger picture is. And it seems like such a silly thing to be talking to a 10-year-old about, but it's not. It's not. They have got to understand these concepts. I just saw something that I loved on Instagram, and it was like, before you even teach your kids the ABCs, teach them emotions. And it was something like selling an emotion book, whatever, but I loved that. It's like, because my little guy that's 4, he's so excited and learning his ABCs right now. Even before this, I should have been talking with him with, "This is you feel mad," or "How do you feel?" Or this is because he is starting now to show, "I'm mad and I'm this." And I'm like, "Oh, we need to like connect these dots even before the ABCs get introduced."
Yes. Oh my gosh. Yes. Because this emotional piece, and I'm even going to add to that because I love that. That's honestly something that I've been working with my kids. I was not taught like
No, we weren't.
emotion.
It wasn't a thing.
No, it was stop crying. You're not seen. You're not heard.
Mhm.
You are like, you're not worthy of my time. Basically, are messages that I received growing up. And it wasn't until literally after marriage that I was like, wow, I am I'm a deep filler. Like I am a very much emotional human being. And recognizing that like I didn't really understand emotions, not just understanding the emotions, but understanding my body sensations that are tied to the emotions. Because that's where nervous system regulation actually takes place, is understanding the body sensations. Because we can label the emotion, I feel mad, I feel angry, I feel sad, I feel anxious. But if we're not able to actually tie it to the body sensation that we are actually feeling physiologically, the emotion isn't going to matter. We're
'Cause it's
not
still
going,
trapped in there.
it's
It's
still
like your
trapped
your
in
body
our
and your trauma, it's still trapped in
yeah.
in your body because you're not recognizing how to release it. That's
Yes.
actually I love that you brought that up because I am going to so my dear friend, she just had a baby and she is and it's been a beautiful, beautiful everything, but she says, "I'm just having this hard time, um, getting back to me," right? This after and I'm like, "Yeah, we all do that." And what I was explaining to her too was reminding, she knows this, but just like, "Hey, you are not the same person. Stop trying to be the pre-birth person because she's gone. You've
Yeah.
metamorphosized." Is that a word? You've turned into a butterfly again because we
Yeah.
do 80 times in our lives, right? You've now changed with this new creation. Your body's totally different. So embrace the difference of it and relearn. You're relearning and you get to create this new person. Next step though, she said that I'm finding that I'm having these like waves of really heavy, deep emotions and crying like these bouts of just crying. And I'm like, that's your trauma in your body releasing. That's even though you had a beautiful birth, your body still underwent this trauma. And so I want to bring that to you because you are actually an expert in this. I'm
Yeah.
just like going off what I've learned from the experts ish. But I'm like,
Yeah.
hey, I've heard this before. I think this is right. Listen to what I'm saying. I think this is right.
Yes. No. I number one, this I love that you even said that because with your this is my I say so many things. This is my favorite. This is
I
my
know.
favorite
Everything's my
because
favorite.
I just love stuff so much. I'm like a nerd. I love research. I love investigating. And then also I love the integration of things. But yeah, after we have a baby, a new version of us is born as well.
Yeah.
And so this phrase of I want to get back, you know, back to myself, back to
Right.
who I was, everything. It's like we actually can, and we're not made to be, but we can rebuild from wherever we just were born from. And we're rebuilding and we are reestablishing a foundation and things are going to shift. But this new version of us is so beautiful. And you may not even see that, right? There's lots of different things, but going to number one, I would say we got to check our hormones first, make sure her hormones are actually okay. So that'd be the first thing is like, make sure your hormones, because really your nervous system really isn't going to get regulated if your hormones aren't truly, because there's going to be so much whiplash within the brain and the chemical balances in the brain. So there's a disconnect of brain and body, and nervous system regulation is a connection of brain, body, and spirit. And so you want to be able to meet things. I have a framework that I do with my clients that we focus on physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual because there's a specific order that a lot of people just focus on the physical. I'm exercising, I'm eating healthy, I'm doing everything.
Right.
Woo! And then it goes mental, and then it goes deeper, the emotional piece that too many people are focusing on the physical and the mental, not enough on the emotional. So every physical symptom that you have that your body's experiencing, whether it be crying, whether it be a headache, whether it be acne, whether it be literal sciatic pain, your body is sending a message. Hey, there is emotion that is trapped here. I need to find a way to release it. There's a variety of ways that we can release it. But that is huge. Like our bodies are always listening and are always communicating. Yeah, our brains are the things that aren't listening. So there's a very big disconnection between the mind and the body. And we want to try and actually bring it back together. So yeah,
It's so
yeah,
interesting because before I even got into any of this 2 years ago when I was just green and didn't have my
yeah,
Revitalized Womanhood, didn't have any of it. I started my journey, talking about things like this was like such a new agey, like woo woo. And, I'm like, oh, come on. Cause I'm totally the go to the gym, burn off the stress, eat more protein, whatever. Right. And as I've been on my own journey, right, along with these women too, is finding how interesting it's so much bigger than interesting. So fulfilling it is to open yourself up to these other kinds of concepts, to open yourself. Like I said, I started this by saying when I reached out to you, it was the universe. It was like, I never would have said that before. It
yeah,
was the law of magnetism. It was the universe because this is what needs to be talked about right now. Totally, whether it's a higher power that is coming through me and because so many times I'll get into a podcast with someone and the day that we're supposed to record, I'm like, nope. I will have my questions prepared, totally ready to go with this poor guest. And then all of a sudden I'm like, guess what? Like I did it to a girl the other day. She was on here and I just was like, something happened today and now we're going to talk about this. And she's like, okay. I was just like, it's I'm a vessel. This needs to come out. Somebody needs to hear this today. Somebody needs specifically this message today. So I really think it's beautiful. And the more I get into it, the more I'm like, how can I help you all understand that when you can quiet, which is we'll get back to your 5-week challenge here and trying to find peace in this holiday season rather than expectation, competition, oh my gosh, all the overwhelm, anxiety that comes with the holiday season. Why can't we just get back into it? And it's because we have got to connect to that part of us that is the mind. Like you're saying, the mind and body, you have to connect back with that. You have to connect all 4 of those things. And we're not
yeah,
listening to what our body is telling us. We're not slowing down enough to be able to hear what our body is telling us. We're not, right? It's so many levels, so many layers that it becomes this vicious cycle.
Yeah. And I think too, adding to that, that people are actually afraid to be quiet because they are afraid of what's going to come up. So that's where we avoid, that's where we scroll on our phones, that's where we try and find and seek connection from somebody else, from a different relationship, right? That's where affairs take place. That's where all of this can transpire, is when there is actually a lack of connection with self. And that's where I'm like, if people can find comfort in the discomfort,
Yeah.
right? Because literally the word discomfort has the word comfort in it. You can find comfort in the discomfort of being still, of being quiet, of asking the hard questions of, what are even my passions now? Who
Right.
is God? Does God exist? Like, how do I like to move my body instead of just going and weightlifting? Like, I used to dance, and that was a huge part for Sarah, that like my body actually missed that. Like, the cells in my body missed the way that my body used to dance. And that was something that I've had to start incorporating again. And it's so different when we actually start listening and stop avoiding.
That's
So
one of the biggest things with women when they come to my community, and I'm sure for you as well with your clients, is because women, it's like we've stopped using our intuition. We've quieted it. We've just like hushed it down so much that now, before social media, and which is amazing that we have all this technology, I can just instantly say my baby has a fever. What do I do? Right. But
yes.
before that, I had this in me that was already in me, that this God-given gift, this God-given whatever it is, intuition, talent, creation, reason for wanting to do things, my beautiful gift of empathy or seeing someone for who they are. Like, I was born with these things, but because I don't have to use them, it's like saying AI. AI is coming into this. So if you have this gift of words and being able to create these beautiful um, posts, or these beautiful a book or poems, I used to write poems. Like,
Mhm. Mhm.
people used to write poems, but now it's like we have AI. So eventually that's going to take over thinking for me, and I'm going to lose the ability to do it because I'm going to be
Yeah.
so used to having it done for me. So
Mhm.
we've lost this connection, this beautiful connection that we have with ourselves. And so we just doubt,
Mhm.
quiet,
Mhm.
smush it down. I talk about it like we're smushing it down. So when these women come to your clients, my community, and the first thing I ask them is, what do you want? And they're like, I don't know, because they've never been asked, or they're not asking themselves. So it's like, let's go back to in topic, holiday season. What do you want? And don't be afraid to say it. Don't be afraid. That's the other, I think step 2 from that comes with, if I say what I want, I'm going to look selfish. I'm going
Yeah.
to look greedy. I'm going to look evil or wicked or something. I'm like,
Yeah.
I promise you cannot shock me. So you just tell me anything you want. But if you asked a man, what do you want? Oh, the list would just get rattled off. I
Yeah.
want to sleep this much a day. I want this much money a year. I want a Porsche. I want to have sex this many times a week. I want, right? They could
Yeah.
just rattle it off, and they wouldn't think anything about it because that's what they're conditioned to do. But
Yeah.
women are like, what do I want? Oh, how's that going to affect my husband? If I say I want this, how's that going to affect my husband? What's he going to think of me? Or are my kids going to be taken care of while I'm doing this? And it's, instantly our minds go to how it's going to affect someone else, rather than, like, so for holiday season, how's my mother-in-law going to feel about that? Or am I going to offend any of my sisters if I bring this up? Or if we don't want to go to that dinner that night because we've already had 3 dinners this holiday season, like, am I going to, right? When really it's start with, what do you meditate? Let's go to Sarah's challenge
Yeah.
and visualize what we expect of this holiday season, what it looks like, what it feels like, what is the vibe. If you could trap your family, we'll call it in a snow globe. If you could put your little family in a little snow globe, what kind of aura is in there with you? What kind of vibe? Is there Christmas music? Is it happy and joyful? Is it peaceful and calm? Are you thinking about Jesus? Are you like whatever? Right?
Yeah.
There's so many different things, parts to that, but imagine that. And then so you have this vision. Now you have to work backwards how to make that happen. It's like,
Yeah.
so who needs to help you make this vision happen? Your husband, your kids. So first you need to communicate with them. Hey, I have this really amazing vision of what I would maybe like this season to be. What do you guys think? What do you expect? What would you like? And incorporate their visions now into your visions. So everybody's on the same page. And then the bubble goes bigger, right? It's like in-laws. It's whoever has to be. With us, it's going to be, I don't want anyone near this baby, and it's flu season and RSV season, and we're just going to stay home and nobody bother us. Don't come knocking on this door. Like, what do you expect,
Yeah.
really? You
If
are
you don't
allowed to
have
have that.
Yeah, and if you don't have an excuse, right? Because it's like, "Hey, we have a baby." That's a
Yeah, we have an
valid
excuse.
excuse,
That's pretty
right?
easy, but
So, but say somebody doesn't have an excuse, but when they are around their in-laws or whatever it may be, when it comes to boundary setting and they don't feel comfortable to say, "No, actually, we're not gonna come this year." Like, that's where it ties so beautifully with what you said of like, what do you want? Because the way that you're gonna offend people no matter what, because that's their stuff. And
that's their stuff.
it's
I
their
did a whole
stuff.
episode on it. That's a you problem. That's not a
Yes.
me
Yep.
problem. That's a you
Yes.
problem.
So if you can start with yourself, get in alignment with yourself of that truth of what do I want? What do I want to feel? What do I want to experience? How do I want to see things? How do I want to be treated? Like, how do I deserve to be treated as well? Um, Man, creating boundaries are so much easier because you're in your truth, you're in your power,
Mhm.
and you're not bringing up the people pleasing.
Yeah.
Stop being afraid of what other people are going to think because you are actually giving away your power in the process when
Mhm.
you give other people permission to tell you you're not coming to the family reunion or you're not coming to the family dinner. How could you? You're the only one that's not coming. Like, that's okay. That's their stuff. That's their hurt. They have to deal with it. And you can still feel powerful in your truth and
Yeah,
standing
you
in
don't
your
have to accept that.
Yes.
You don't
Yes.
have to accept that guilt trip. It's like, imagine you're shutting the door on it. Like, it's coming. They're allowed to have it. They're on this side of the door in their own moment. You're on this side of the door and it's coming for you. You can close the door. And it's not
Yeah.
a mean thing. I think
No.
especially it is hard. I know it's uncomfortable. Especially so many people pleasing women, I know. But if you start practicing it, but you do have to identify it first. You have to know what you want first. This
Mhm.
extends so much further than this. We're just staying on topic for holidays, but same with like husbands and wives, it's so hard for me when you see this couple imploding and she thinks it's all his fault. He thinks it's all her fault when really it's like, well, you never communicated that with him. You
Mhm.
never even identified it. You don't even know what you want.
Yeah.
And then you couldn't even identify it for yourself.
Mhm.
How could you expect him to know or whatever? And it's the same thing with your in-laws, with your sisters, with your family, with your friends. You have to be able to identify clearly your wants, your needs. And it starts with this. It starts with this 5-week challenge of Sarah's. It starts with her nervous system regulation course because you have to start with self. It
Yeah.
has to start with you. Nobody else can read your mind. But even before that, you have to be able to communicate it. So,
And
and you
I
can't do
I
that.
love this want. We're focusing on the want and we're focusing on the needs. And then I think we can take it even a step deeper of why do I want that thing? Why do
Yeah.
I want to feel that feeling? And then like literally asking your questions, like I'm going to invite all of everybody who's listening to even just do this. If you are feeling like you're in a quandary for this holiday season with in-laws, with gifts, with financial stress, whatever chaos or overwhelm, overstimulation, stress you are experiencing, I'm going to invite you to do this little exercise. Okay. Gina said, what do you want? Okay. What do you want? Why do you want that thing? How can you get that thing? Where? We're literally just asking ourselves the who, what, when, where, why. Who is this going to affect? Is it me? Is it somebody else? Like, you're just breaking things down more in a tunnel vision viewpoint instead of keeping everything up here. Get it out on paper, but answering those questions, who, what, when, where, why, how, I think is going to be so helpful for people to, I guess, mitigate the stress starting out, but give also a perspective. I think visualization, meditation can sometimes be hard for people if they are, let me say, like problem solvers or very analytical or very logical. Visualization can be hard for some of us who are that way.
Create a
Yep.
list then. So for people
Yes.
like that,
Yep.
lists, brain
Yep.
dumps. That's my husband is
Exactly.
a list maker. He has to have all
Yeah.
these lists. Well, and I love what you're saying too is what so there's a saying Jim Carrey says, I wish that everybody on earth could get what they wish for a time. You know, he says that. He says because for there was a time when I wished for this
Yeah.
and I wished for this. And then I got it and realized, huh, that didn't make me happy.
Mhm.
That didn't actually do what I expected it to do. And so one of the questions on my discovery call when I meet these women is, okay, we've gone through your goals. We've gone through your long-term goals, short-term goals. We've gone through your stress levels, happiness levels, blah, 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 blah. All of these things you want to maybe change or do better at, whatever. The
Mhm.
last question is, if all of this happens, what does it look like? So, yeah,
Mm.
totally agree with
What does
you.
it look like? And what does it feel like?
Yeah. What
Right?
does it
Connecting
feel
that
like?
mind. Yeah.
What does
Being
it do
very,
for you?
yes. Yeah.
Because there's so many things I love it because Rick and I, we had everything.
Yeah.
He had this chopper that he had been, remember back when it was like OC choppers and that was like the thing
Yep.
and whatever. And he got this custom built chopper and, that was his dream. And I'm not talking about when we had it all taken away, but I'm talking about we had that thing and we drove it on a big long trip. And I, on the second day, wanted to die. It was
Mm.
so uncomfortable. My poor butt was so bruised. And I was just like, please don't make me get back on that thing, please. And we're up in Yellowstone, had to get back to Salt Lake. And I'm like in
Oh my
tears
gosh.
crying. I'm like, please don't make me do this again, you know? And he same thing, he loved it and loved it and loved it, and then it sat in our garage for a year
Mhm.
and did nothing. It's like, I love for you to have dreams,
Yeah.
ladies listening. I want for you to have dreams. I just want you to also think about when you get those dreams, when they come true, what's gonna happen? What happens there?
I Something that's coming up for me as you're talking about this is a lot of times we allow others to control our dreams,
Yeah.
right? Or to even say like that's not possible. Like you're not
Oh,
going to
yeah.
make that much money. You're not going to like other people's messaging wound us so deeply that we are giving our control to other people. And when you are connected with the truth of you doing these things in the challenge, working on yourself, I promise you that control will come back to you because you're going to take away the blame of other people and the resentment that you may have for other people or the control that you feel like you actually don't. Like you are a sovereign being and you are your own authority. And my hope and wish is that you actually know that and you can feel that. Like, I know that, I feel that, I believe that for myself. But when it comes to healing and not just your nervous system or your hormones or a physical injury, when it comes to true healing, it starts with you. It starts with inner power and coming back home to yourself because you already have it in you. We don't necessarily have to relearn anything, we have to rediscover it
Yeah.
already in us. And so this whole thing is a rediscovery. And I guess tying everything back, it's like this challenge that I have created with these 5 simple steps is a rediscovery of the magic that we once had as a child. Or maybe you didn't have it as a child, but it's a rediscovery of what it actually can be for you and how you want it to be for you. I want to feel peace this holiday season. I don't want to feel stressed. And I'm going to start crying because like I'm so passionate about it. I
Yeah.
know I'm not the only one feeling this way, but it's like I want you to feel the love that other people have for you, the respect, the compassion that we can have for other people, and have it be selfless instead of selfish, and getting you into that place of true connection in mind and body and spirit, and allowing you to really experience what you want for these holidays. So
Yeah.
that was just something that came to my mind.
I love it. I love it. You know I love it. I always love it. I have a baby doing like kick splits. Like right now, I'm just like,
Like I've had a few contractions, like moving. Great. I love that we're on this journey
we
together.
are a pair.
Well, and I think that that's also another beautiful thing is that you're not alone. You are not alone in what you are experiencing, period.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Someone else is always going through what you are going through. And it's finding that connection, the community, putting yourself out there um, to do it. And you're not going to really connect with somebody if you can't connect with yourself. Like if your marriage is struggling, the first thing I'm going to say to a client of mine, if they come to me and be like, oh my gosh, my husband this, my husband that, we kind of talked about this, that it's like, okay, we cannot control your
Yes.
husband. We cannot control our in-laws. We cannot control our kids for that matter, but you, right? It comes back to you. How can you respond? How can you react? How can you get to know yourself better?
Absolutely. All right, lady. I appreciate you
Okay.
so much. Thank you so
You're
much for
welcome.
joining me. Oh my gosh. I
Thanks for
love
having me.
you.
I love you.
Um, I really want you to text me tomorrow because I'm gonna come and run over and give you a hug. So
Okay.
dress warm. I mean, I know
Yeah.
you're maybe not expecting it because you're already up there and it's fine, but dress warm.
Well, thank you so
Thank you,
much.
lady. Well, I'm going to post everything. I'm going to post everything for your challenge in the show notes, but remind everybody again what your website is so they can come look for it.
Honestly, just post my Instagram and then they can click on my link and then they can go straight to, but also my
Okay,
DMs are
perfect.
always open. It will always be me responding in my DMs. So that's how I love to build connection. So if you
I
have
had someone
questions,
like respond back to mine that's like, "Thanks for the automated response, but this is a man or something," because it was one of those shared accounts.
yeah,
So I didn't know if it was a
yeah,
husband or a wife. And he's all, "Thanks for the automated response." And I'm like, "That wasn't automated. That was me." I'm like,
okay.
"I
People
do
are
it
gonna
all. But
think
nice to meet you."
yeah. People are gonna think what they want, but no, message me. That's all. Like, I just love connection. If something resonated with you, if you have questions about what we talked about, like, yep, I offer one-on-one coaching. I do group coaching, retreats, all the things. So
Beautiful. Beautiful,
thank you.
beautiful. Thank you, my dear. Appreciate you being on.
You're welcome.